Hello, sports fans, and this is Play It Right once again. This is Quinito Henson along with Dyan Castillejo. We've got a special episode for you because we have the winningest coach in PBA history with us. And with the PBA Governor's Cup set to open December 8th, I think it's just timely that we have with us Coach Tim Cohn himself.
Hi, Tim.
Great. Hi. Great to be here, man. I'm excited about to start it. It's starting next week, and I'm really excited. I think we're all excited to get back to work. I wish we had fans, but we don't have fans yet. But I think that's right around the corner. So that's something we're really looking forward to, especially in Ginebra.
Of course. Tim, we can sense the excitement in your tone. And, we wanted to ask you, Quinito and I were just counting. And you have been coaching. We hate to remind you, but, it's not bad. You're the winningest coach. So you've been coaching for about 4 decades.
Since 1989. Yeah, I was 1 year.
1989.
That's 5 decades. That's 5 decades.
No, that's not 5 decades. Is it 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020? Yeah, it gets to be
5 decades.
5 decades. Yeah, that's a little embarrassing.
No, and the way you talk about it, it's like it's your first conference. I mean, where do you get this drive, intensity on the court, motivation? What else do you wanna do, Tim?
I guess I get that question. It's not a common question, but people ask me a lot, and I'm always surprised when people ask me that because it just feels so natural to want to be excited about the game and be excited to be around the guys. And I've never not felt this way, and I just feel like there's always something new. The game evolves. You get young players that grow, and everybody. There's always a growth that goes on, and which makes it exciting. I love watching a Castillejo, start playing really well, and be irrepressible. Where we've got to find time for this kid because he came from nowhere, but he's making waves, and we got to find time for him. Things like that just I think are really exciting. I'm really excited to have Justin Brownlee back. I had that feeling with Sean Chambers for so many years. I couldn't wait till Sean came, and now I've rediscovered that Sean Chambers and Justin Brownlee. Now I've got Justin. He walks in the door and like the world is okay again. Everything's right with the world when Justin walks into the gym, and it's really nice. And we just got him a couple days ago, so I'm all pumped up again because Justin's here.
Yeah. Well, you're right. There's always the game is evolving. You have new players, new challenges. This whole COVID thing has presented a whole new different challenge for you. So
for sure.
How have your practices been going leading up to this new conference? Is it like stop-start, or have you been able to have a long streak of straight intense training, or how has it been?
That's a really good question. We've been able to do 2-a-day practices, which is, I guess, I'm kind of famous for around coaching circles. I always do 2-a-days during the period. I'm not saying other coaches don't do it, but that's something that's been a historical part of what I've always done. And this is the first time we've been able to do it in 2 years. We weren't able to do our regular routines and getting prepared and how we feel we get prepared. And we just feel the 2-a-days that we do. I mean, it's not literally 2-a-days every day for 7 days a week, but we're not there to kill the guys, but we do it. And we think that we get more work done, obviously, because we're doing, 9, 10, 11 practices a week rather than the normal 5 or 6 that normally get. And so we're getting extra work done. We get to be around each other a little bit longer. There's more chemistry done. And I think when teams work hard together and work through adversity, it ties them a little closer. And so I think it helps chemistry. So there's multiple reasons. And that's one of the reasons I'm real excited, because we've been able to do 2 days. We had a 2-a-day practice yesterday on Sunday, which is unusual for us because Justin Brownlee came out of quarantine, and we wanted to get some extra practices in, and we're doing a 2-a-day again tomorrow. So that's something that we have not been able to do during the pandemic, and I love that extra part of preparation. To me, it's hard to explain, but I don't get excited about games. I know everybody else gets excited about the games itself. For me, I don't get excited about games. I know I don't even look forward to them. I mean, they give me a bad stomach. I'm always nervous. What really gets me going is practices. I love going to practice. I love working with the guys. I love seeing them improve. And I think, that's really the key. And I really enjoy going to practices.
That's wonderful. Quinito?
Tim, you've been coaching in the PBA since 1989, so we're counting 5 decades. You've won 23 championships, the winningest coach in PBA history. What still gets you going? You were talking about you being pumped up with new players and Ken Salado and Justin Brownlee, but this coming conference is something that's very unique. It's almost like totally unexpected. Every single team has made changes in its local lineup. I've gone through all the 12 teams, at least one player change in every team. And now you've got 12 imports, 5 of whom have never played here before. It's a very unpredictable conference that we're looking at. Is this something that's pumping you up? Is it something that's a surprise for you? I mean, from the history you've had in the PBA, is there still anything that surprises you or gets you going?
Yeah, I always tell our players every game is different. I mean, no game is ever the same. No quarter is ever the same, and it really comes down to no possession is truly the same. There's always things that are constantly, like I said earlier, the game evolves, and like we're evolving our team right now. We're changing a lot of the things that we're doing in terms of what we do offensively. We're even changing a lot of things that we're doing defensively, which is on you because I'm a real defensive coach, and I believe in a certain type of defense for so long. But we're giving it a different look. Why? Because the game has evolved, and you can't play the same defense now that you were playing, 15 years ago because of the 3-point shot and how big that's become. The 3 and key. You've got to learn how to defend those kind of things, and that makes your defense. As the offense evolves, the defense evolves, and as the defense evolves, the offense has to evolve and readjust, and it's a constant game like that. And it sometimes it's cyclical. Sometimes things that worked 20 years ago come back and work again. And but by and large, it's a game of trying to keep up with the Joneses. And as you said, all the teams have. I mean, the drafts, the last couple of drafts have been really strong. Teams have been able to upgrade a lot. The stronger teams have gotten stronger. The lesser teams have gotten stronger. I mean, it's gotten to be, like you said, really unpredictable. I think Talkatex is still going to be, the team to beat coming out here. You can't, they're irrepressible. I mean, in the last conference, they were the team that really, really stood out, and you have to assume that they're going to continue that pace as they go forward. Teams like San Miguel, Magnolia, are big time teams, and you got Morocco with Norman Black is always there. So, and then you look back and you see like we played a practice game against Alaska, and they looked fantastic. I mean, they looked organized. They got the ball to the right people. I was really impressed. They looked really, really well coached and disciplined, which is kind of the history of Alaska. And so on and so forth. There's just a lot of teams out there that can do things this conference that I think will shock people. But it really comes down to ultimately how imports fit with the team, because the imports are the driving players. And if they can't fit, then I don't care how good you are, you're not going to have a good conference. And it's going to be more interesting because of quarantine. Can you get guys to come in? When you want to change an import, you got to wait 5 days before and then put them through a 9-day home quarantine on 14 days. It's going to take a lot of foresight in terms of if you want to change an import or not. So I think that's why a lot of the teams, I think, was it 9 of them or 7 of them, went with familiar faces, a familiar guy,
Right.
because it's tough to gamble on somebody at this point. So,
Right.
yeah, there's so many things going on, Quinito, for this conference. So many things.
Yeah, really.
Help us
It's so exciting.
be excited and interested in it.
Yeah, but you mentioned about your scrimmage against Alaska. Who won that game?
They did. They
Okay.
did. They had we didn't have an import. Justin wasn't here. They had an import, but they only played him for the first half. So they beat us, and they played very, very well. So like I said, I was very impressed with them. I think we open up with them. I think they're also our first game on Sunday. I think
well, talking about this last conference, it's very unusual for Ginebra not to make it to the semifinals. You guys didn't progress beyond the quarterfinals, but it was also because of injuries and players getting sick. Scotty Thompson didn't play the last 3 games. Japet Aguilar didn't play the last 5 games. What about the health situation of Ginebra right now, entering the Governor's Cup? Are you guys healthy? Are you happy with the health situation of your team right now?
Well, we've got 3 players who are obvious contributors that are out. They're going to be out at the beginning of the conference. That's Joe DeVance, coming off a knee surgery. And Aljan Mariano, who got injured in the last game against Talkentex and is still trying to get back from that injury. Injured both his knee and his ankle. And prior to that, he had come off ankle surgery, taking off some he had to have his bone shaved. And then JD Dillinger just got injured a couple of days ago, and he might miss some time for a while. So three guys that normally really contribute, but we do have a deep lineup. It's not that concerning for us. Well, those guys will really help out, but we've got we're real excited about Sydney Omerberry, who we were able to secure in a trade with Northport. And I think our young guys, like I said, I mentioned Kent earlier, MJII are starting to show some stuff. I think the chemistry and the just basically everything about the team that was struggling has improved, especially with Christian Stenhardinger. He's now getting a feel for what we want from him, and we're getting a feel from what he wants from us. And I think that's been a big key for us, having these 2-a-days and having the preparation coming in is really getting him into what we're doing. And Justin and him look like they're going to play some really nice music together, playing together.
Dyan?
Well, you look really revved up and excited about how your team is developing leading up to the conference, but we're still going to apparently start the conference without fans. How much, for Ginebra, how much are you hoping that the fans can come back to help you give that push?
I think I can honestly say, in the PBA, there is no one, or maybe the commissioner, but there is no one who wants fans back more than me as coaching them, because that is something we rely on as an Ginebra team. We rely on our fans to help us through tough times, lift us during periods when we were lacking energy or things aren't going well and we need a lift. And that was something I felt was, I've mentioned this before in other interviews, but the first bubble, we started off so well, and we won our first 4 games, and we just kind of developed the momentum on our own, and it was kind of shocking. We didn't expect that to happen, and we continued it, finished as the first seed, and then had a tough series in the semis against Morocco, and won in a last second shot by Scotty Thompson, but then turned around and took advantage of some injuries from Tonkintex and won a championship. And it was like, wow, we were able to do that without the fans. But then the second bubble came, and we got off to a slow start. We were struggling all the way through. And I was just all the way through that conference saying, oh, man, I wish we had our fans here that could, find a way to lift us up, because I couldn't get us going. And they have to understand, our fans are a weapon for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Big weapon for us. So for us not to have them, it's much, much harder for us to perform without them. So I'm not sure any other team can say that as much as we can say that. So yeah, do we want the fans back? I mean, that's not even a question. I mean, so we'll try to get through this first week, and we're hoping. We heard that they're going to reassess every week and see if they can start getting fans to come in, and so we're hoping they get back. Boy, are we hoping they get back.
Well, Quinito and I were talking, even 20-30% would make a huge difference, right? As compared to seeing those digital photos or digital images of the fans, right?
I remember, watching, pro sports in the United States, not only NBA, but Major League Baseball. And watching them play without fans.
Yeah.
And then seeing the fans starting to trickle in, like they were doing 20%, like you said, and, 30%. And you could see the level of play totally change. And I expect the same thing when the fans start coming back. I don't care if there's 50 fans in the stadium, the level of play will change. I guarantee it. And just the excitement of having somebody there to watch. I think, we all play sport. If you're used to playing sports and you're out there, Dyan, you're out there in a practice and you're playing, working on your tennis, and then someone walks in and starts watching you.
That's so true.
It just all of a sudden you start elevating your game. That guy's watching me. I got to elevate my game. And I tell you, it just elevates your game when people are involved and watching, and you want to prove your skills to them.
That's so true. Well, yeah. Well, I remember talking to you after the Clark bubble, and you were saying, "Oh, that was so hard," right? And then, well, of course, you had the second conference. So now that you don't have the fans to push you, and given all the difficult situations that you've had to endure with just getting training and all that, are you doing any like extra mental sessions? Have you hired a psychologist for the team to be able to motivate you, I guess, or to just like deal with this situation? Maybe players are, because every player deals with the situation differently.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. I just think it's been really hard to try to do that in this situation with the pandemic. I mean, bringing someone in that's not familiar. First of all, we're not allowed to bring anybody in from the outside in a practice. The PBA rule, you can't walk. We can't have we're allowed 25 people. We're not allowed a 26th person to walk in there.
Oh.
Whether it be a fan or whether it be, it's closed practices. So, the rules and regulations, the protocols are very strict in terms of that. And, it's difficult for us to break the team and suddenly go to a resort and, and have team building and stuff like that. It's also difficult because we spend so much time, in our practices and trying to prepare. So if there's a psychologist, it's probably me at this point. I'm Papa, brother, mother, whoever you want to be, and I try to play multiple roles for our guys. But that's all part of the preparation. It's trying to prepare our guys mentally. Like I said, I felt going into the first bubble, I felt we were better prepared than going into the second bubble. Second bubble was really difficult for us, and we had a tough time.
Let me ask a question, Tim. You mentioned Onwubere earlier. How is he going to fit in with Ginebra? he's coming off a really strong conference with Northport, and Wubere, he can play 4, he can play 3, he's got range, but how will he fit in the rotation with Japet, Christian, and Justin Brownlee?
Well, I think his versatility says it all. You mentioned some of the versatility he has. He's a big body who he'll throw his body around, and he's extremely quick, despite the fact that he's got a big body. He's 200 and I think we measured him at 246 pounds, and he doesn't have a whole lot of fat on him. He's just solid, and when he bumps into you, you fly. And we've noticed that in practice a few times. So, we really like his skill set. It's raw still. I mean, he's still very raw, but he's learning the game. And I got a great guy who helps me develop players, and that's Coach Kirk Collier. He's a great developer of players. And Sydney comes an hour early to report time. We have a report time that everybody has to get there so they can warm up and tape and do all the things they do. And then we have a start time, but our report time, Sydney comes over an hour earlier than our report time, just to sit there and work with Coach Kirk. And so I imagine he's going to make some really good strides over this, maybe, over this conference, but even beyond. I think that he's a guy of full potential. And we're full of potential, I should say, and I think that he can really, really help. So, he's that guy who can play that 3-4 position all the time. So right now we see him as a starter on our team and playing major minutes, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we'll see. You kind of put a vision out there of how you want to play, but once it starts going, it doesn't always do what you want it to do. So you have to make adjustments. But at this point, I can honestly say that we expect him to start basketball games for us.
And he'll be a starter at 4, and then Japet at 5, and Brownlee will be 3. Is that the kind of?
If I tell you all of that, I'll have to kill you, Quinito, because then I'm giving things off to Alaska. I'll have to let Alaska kind of guess on that.
Okay.
But he'd be like the 3-4 at this point. But,
Okay.
Justin has great versatility as well. Justin can play anywhere on the floor, 2 to 5. So, the versatility of those two guys allows us to be creative in our lineups.
Now, you also mentioned Start Hardiger and that he's gotten familiar with your system. I think you'll expect a lot from him. Now, during the offseason, there was talk that Christian Stan Hardiger was being offered to go to Japan. I don't know whether that's true or not. What have you heard? And additionally, what do you think of Filipino players going to Japan, getting hard in Taipei, Korea's opening up, and corollary to that, what about the EASL coming into the picture and giving an opportunity for PBA clubs to compete for $1 million?
Well, you see, you gave me enough questions that I can talk for the next hour and a half in that one statement. Number one, Christian. Okay. Christian, I understand he is agreeing to a new contract. So I don't think that's an issue of him going to Japan. I know that he's extremely happy to be with Ginebra, and he has not experienced playing with the Ginebra fans yet. So he's really excited about wanting to play for the Ginebra fans. He hasn't had fans in the stadium. So I don't think that's an issue with him particularly. I know it is an issue for other teams around the league. For me as a coach, you want players to get the best for themselves and their families. So I'm all for if they can get a great contract and go somewhere else and, whatever can help them the best and help their career the most, I'm going to be supportive of that. Being a coach. Now, being a member of the PBA, I find it disconcerting that a lot of our stars are going elsewhere, and a lot of the young guys that we're expecting to come into the league are going elsewhere. So that's disconcerting, I think. But when guys leave, there's always guys to fill up, and open up spaces, and it's basically next man up. So I think that those guys will leave, but the guys that will fill their spots will end up being stars of their own. So, gosh, I can't. In my 5 decades you were talking about, I hate you that you mentioned that, but the 5 decades that I've seen so much resilience of the PBA, as you've seen. The PBA is so resilient, and they've gone through coups, they've gone through financial problems. I mean, they've gone through rival leagues. I mean, they have gone through everything, and they find a way to keep on chugging along. And I don't think this will affect them at all. It's always, there's always a story in the beginning, like the MBL was, and the Asian crash and all this stuff. And there's always a story at the moment, but the PBA finds a way to get through it and just keeps elevating itself. So I don't think that'll change. I think the fact that we are joining, having an opportunity to join some of the other league, or the tournament, the $1 million tournament, I think is exciting for the PBA, and another way in which they're going to battle this idea of players leaving the league. So, like we talked earlier, Dyan, about the game evolving. The game evolves, the game of basketball evolves. I just can't imagine the way we run practice now as opposed to the way we ran it in 1989. Completely different. I mean, you wouldn't even see. It's like that wasn't even basketball back then, and the way the game evolves, it's the same thing. The PBA evolves. The PBA is forced to evolve all the time, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I really don't. I think it's good. I think the competition makes the PBA change and grow and continue to evolve, and I think that's part of life and something we talk about with our players all the time.
No, I was just thinking that, as you were saying, there's always something new. And of course, this COVID situation has really been a major thing to adjust to, in terms of even just having your, not just physical resilience, but mental toughness and everything, the coaching. And you're going to be playing, the games are going to be every day. How many games do you expect to have in a week? And how do you feel about that?
Well, it's going to be tough, no doubt about it. And
that's super different from, like before regular conferences you had.
Yeah, well, we've experienced it in the bubble. We've had those everyday games almost in the bubble, so that we do have a little bit of feel for it. But the difference between the bubble and now is that you get to come home to your own bed and sleep, as opposed to going back into a hotel room, which was tough mentally. And you get to see your family and be around your family. You get to eat your food. The hotels did really tried hard to vary stuff, but still it was still hotel food every night. It wasn't easy. All those things, so right now you ask how much to expect. Well, San Miguel, just for instance, this week is playing 3 games. They're playing Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I think Alaska's doing the same. I think 3 or 4 teams that are doing that Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. We just happen to play on Sunday, so we're expecting next week to play. The schedule is going to go week to week because of the testing every team has to go through. They don't want to go out a long schedule out there, and then suddenly one team goes into COVID, and then they can't. Then they have to scramble the whole schedule again. So they're doing schedule week by week. So our first game is Sunday. We don't know what our next game is, but we're assuming that it'll at least be 3 games the following week, at the minimum 2, but probably 3. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. We're assuming that's what we will play next week. So 3 games in a week, and then basically then 2 days of rest, Monday and Tuesday, where you get a chance to practice and then come back and go again. So
Wow.
It's not easy, and it's tough on the players. And I think the quality of the game goes down a little bit because you are playing so much, and guys are tired and they make fatigue mistakes and such. But again, you adapt to what you can do, and the league is trying to catch up to the schedule, trying to catch up to we were supposed to start this in November. It's been pushed all the way to December, and we were supposed to play 3 conferences this year. We're only playing 2, and for this season. So, the league is trying to catch up. So I think the players understand that. It doesn't mean they're necessarily happy about it, but I think they understand the idea that this is something we have to do to help the league along.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they're happy just to be playing, and whatever they have to do in terms of like difficulty. They're just, there are very few sports that are going here in the Philippines, and
Exactly.
and I'll send you a video of my mom cheering her lungs out every Ginebra game. You can show it to your my mom is
So
like,
the fans
wow.
are really there watching us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like super. And before we let you go, I have to ask you, how's your tennis game?
Every day. I just came from playing tennis. In fact, I showered right before the thing because I came from playing tennis for an hour and a half earlier. But I play basically 5 to 6 days a week.
That's incredible, Quinito. This guy, plays tennis 6 days a week.
Yeah, I could play at 7 if I could, but the club is closed on 1 day a week. So, but yeah, I try to play. I try to play every day, and if I'm not playing, then I have a buddy who I bike with. We go out and bike, and so it's just part of. Really, it's to me, playing tennis or biking or all that stuff is really part of my job, because personally, I have to stay in shape to do what I have to do. And if I'm not in good shape, I'm going to get worn down, and I can't bring my best to the guys. So I really truly feel that that's part of my job is staying in shape. And there's been times when I've gained too much weight. I always feel like I've gained too much weight, and I've had to try to work it off and get back. So again, I think the better shape I am, the better coach I am. So I think that's really important to not only my physical health.
No golf? No golf, Tim?
Oh yeah, I play golf too. So that's just it. I play golf. Maybe I try to play once a week or twice a week, but usually it's just once a week. And I have a group that I play with. But once the game starts, golf gets kind of thrown out the window. And preseason, off season, I can play more golf, but once the games start, it's pretty much gone. So it's just tennis, and because tennis is quick, I can get it done, and I can get in and out and get to practice, and I really enjoy tennis. I really, really enjoy tennis. I'm so envious that Dyan spent her whole life playing tennis.
No, you'll be more envious of me because I watched the final, the women's and men's final of the last U.S. Open. I saw Raducanu beat Fernandez. You should go. It was like such a treat. It's like my highlight of the last 2 years.
Yeah, I have not. I've always wanted to go to a U.S. Open or Australian Open, or imagine going to a Wimbledon, but I've never been able to do that. It's one of my bucket lists to go to a big time tennis tournament. Been to a couple of real small ones. I was actually able to go to a voluntary camp in Florida, and I was able to watch a bunch of pros work out, and for a few days. It was actually the IMG camp, but they bought out the voluntary camp. The tennis camp.
Tennis and golf. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was able to watch some really big names work out, which to me is really exciting. Watching them play is one thing, but watching them work out is like, for me, I don't really like watching NBA games, but you take me to an NBA team practice, like a Miami Heat practice or a Laker practice, and I am like so incredibly thrilled. It's the time of my life watching those guys work out. So,
well, Tim, we're at the end of our show, and we want to thank you very much.
What?
But before we let you go,
that's it. You know me, I can talk for hours.
Oh my gosh, and we could talk to you for hours.
No, we'll have a part two. We'll have a part two.
Yeah, we know how busy you are. We also know that you've got your two practices a day routine that you need to be ready for. But before we let you go, I'm really excited about what you said, that we're going to be expecting something new from Ginebra, both
Yeah.
offensively and defensively, things that we may not have seen before. And we're not going to ask you to tell us what those are, because obviously that'll be a surprise. That'll be a secret. That'll be something the fans can look forward to. But my last two questions for you are, number one, do you miss Greg Slaughter? And number two, what more can Tim Cohn achieve or aspire for in the PBA? You're the winningest coach. What else drives you to continue coaching at a high level? My last two questions.
Well, number one, Greg, Greg and I were really close. He and I felt we had a great relationship, and I was really, I thought it was really tough to see him go. And I really expected him to play well with Northport, being the lone big man there, and they would be able to build around him and feed him the ball. And I expected him to put up some Jumar-like numbers, and I wasn't far off. He had a great conference. He was really tough, and he was really motivated. So, yeah, we miss Greg, but Christian in his own right is a great player, and if you're going to lose a Greg, getting someone like Christian is a real good thing. In terms of me and what I can achieve, I don't look at goals. I never did. I never look at trying to win championships. It's never been a thing of mine. I know people talk about it, but it's not something I talk about too much. It's not. I'm not very goal oriented in terms of personally. I really like to be more growth oriented, and I like the fact of trying to evolve and trying to be different, trying to do different things. That's why I liked the triangle for many years, so much, because it was an offense that constantly evolved and built on itself, and so that's what I really enjoy. Like I said, to me, it's not the championships that are the exciting thing. I'm not even really that excited about games. What I'm excited about is getting to practice and watching young guys get better, watching us come together as a team, and seeing guys get that buy-in that's necessary to be successful. And so, we always say, well, the way we practice is the way we're going to play in games. So if we're practicing great, we're going to play great. It's not baliktad. So it's really important that we have that kind of attitude, that idea that we're growing and always evolving. So the idea, and there's more championships to win, they're always out there. They're out there for every coach. What I want to see is, I just want to see us get better and grow.
Well, as they say, never say die. Barangay Ginebra. Best of luck to you, Coach Tim Cohn, in this coming PBA Governors Cup. And thank you so much for your time. Dyan?
Thanks, Tim. It's been so inspiring to talk to you. I love all your mindsets and your mottos, and talking about growth and development, and keep the fire burning. Must be the tennis, huh?
Keeps me in shape. But I tell you what's going to keep us going is those fans, man. We need the fans back, and I'm just hoping they get back as soon as possible. That would be really, really neat to walk into a stadium and see fans there. I just can't imagine. And when the fans come back, we're going to put the tie back on. So coaching staff will be back in ties when the fans are allowed to come back to the stadium. That's our motto on our coaching staff. When fans come back, the ties come back.
Well, thanks very much,
again,
Coach
Tim. We're looking forward to Ginebra. Yeah, all the best.
I'm honored that you called me and asked me to do this. I'm so tickled pink. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Talk to you again.
Okay.
Well, it is always so much fun and so interesting, so engaging to talk to Coach Tim Cohn. I just really love his energy, Quinito, his passion for the game. He has like this childlike love for basketball, and you can see it. And I love it when he says that he really looks forward to the growth, and he looks forward to training. And I think that's what really has made him super successful, is because he's in it, and he loves the challenges. Like he said, the game is evolving. He's rolled with the punches, and he's just overall such a great guy for basketball. I mean, super bravo, Coach Tim Cohn and Ginebra.
Well, he's also reached the pinnacle, Diane, where he doesn't really need more championships. As he
Right.
said, the championships will come. Right now, since he's the winningest coach in the PBA with 23 titles under his belt, he's really just looking for growth. He's hoping that the growth will come from the young players and from his own mind. As he said, he's the papa, he's the mama, he's the psychologist of his team. And he just wants to make better players out of the cast that he has with him. And, hats off to Coach Tim because he continues to have that drive and motivation
Yes.
to be the excellent coach that he is. And, with that, we want to thank you again for sharing this time with us on Play It Right and with Coach Tim Cohn. And this is Quinito Henson.
And I'm Dyan Castillejo. Thank you for joining us. We hope that we will see you again on our next episode on Play It Right.
Thank you. This is Play It Right.
Play It Right.